Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tosca. I am NETA's QEMC Program Manager. Thank you for joining NETA's live webinar today, the NFPA 70B Electrical Power Worker Qualification for Businesses. Leading today's presentation is Chasen Tedder from Hampton Tedder Technical Services. Chasen is on the NETA Board of Directors and is the chairman of the QEMC QEMW program. Chasen will be reviewing what NFPA 70B means for businesses and or facility owners, why NFP 70B compliance is no longer optional, how the QEMC program aligns with NFPA 70B, what the business's advantages of becoming QEMC are, and finally, we'll review the QEMC program requirements and available support. During the presentation, you are welcome to submit questions in the chat section, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. Before I hand it over to Chasen, we will take a few minutes for the attendees to complete a quick poll and provide us insight on your awareness level of the changes to NFPA 70. One final note, please be sure to keep your microphone muted throughout the presentation. All right, well, let's take a couple minutes for the poll. All right, everyone, thank you very much. We're going to close the poll now and move on. So again, welcome. I'm going to quick review NETA's mission. It's to serve the electrical testing industry by establishing standards, publishing specifications, accrediting independent third-party testing companies, and certifying test technicians. The association also collects and disseminates information and data of value to the electrical industry and educates the public and end user about the merits of electrical acceptance and maintenance testing. I will now pass it over to Chasen.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you joining the call, and thank you for taking a quick minute to go through a little Quizlet here. Or poll. We're trying to figure out, kind of gauge the room, and it's great to hear that about 75% of people said that they were familiar that 70B has become a standard. So a big portion of the room kind of understands the gravity of what we're talking about today, which really helps. And a lot of you know quite a bit about all three standards, the 70B, 70E, and of course, National Electrical Code. So we're going to make this less rudimentary and dive into a little bit more of the nuance associated with it. So thank you, everybody, for joining. Appreciate it. For some of those that may just be partially aware of what's going on, 70B became a mandatory standard a good 3.5 years ago. It used to be a guideline of kind of best practice in the industry to do this. Now it's transitioned like NFPA 70E used to be a guideline and is now a standard. 70B has done the same route. And so what that means is NFPA 70B, the maintenance standard, is now enforceable. And facility owners must implement a formal electrical maintenance program. It's no longer something that is a good practice, but has some liabilities associated with it if it's not taken seriously. So now as facility owners, which I believe there's a good mix of facility owners, contractors, and NACs on the call. So for facility owners, they must now proactively ensure that not only that they're performing their maintenance, but if they're performing it in-house, they need to ensure that their workers are qualified to perform those maintenances, document and track those maintenance activities, verify that they align with the national standards as far as the maintenances that are performed, and overall codify and formalize their maintenance practices. And that may seem a little daunting depending upon the size of your installation. Some small facilities might be able to get away with this with just a little consultation from a NETA accredited company on what do you need to do to get through some of this. Some larger, more complex facilities may need a very robust program. So where you fit in that lineup, only kind of you can tell, or if you reach out to a 70B consultant or NETA accredited company, they might be able to help you through that. So why is compliance no longer optional? So the National Fire Protection Agency took a bold move and they said that it's not just good enough that a installation be created good at XYZ date. As they go through, things change. They need to make sure that that installation is maintained throughout its lifespan because it has severe safety implications for those that are working on it. So they really pushed for 70E, the safety standard, to become a standard, acknowledging that there's a lot of risk associated with this work, and they want to ensure that the individuals performing it have adequate protection from their employers to make sure that it's performed right and that they all get home safe. And 70B is a part of that as well. If you're working on electrical equipment, if it's not maintained properly, it gets you into a lot of risk. So they made the bold move to make it a standard along with 70E and the National Electrical Code. What that means is it's now required. OSHA can cite employees or employers under the general duty clause because this is now a standard. They can say, hey, if you're not following this, you're not following what is not exactly code, but just shy of it. And authorities having jurisdiction can point to this and say, you need to be following this maintenance standard. And if you're not, local inspectors, facility safety officers, and insurers may not cover you or may have issues with your facility. So making sure that you're aware of this standard, you have preliminary understanding of how to get through it, and hopefully you've got a entire program in place to get you through any sort of audit or inquiries that you may get about it. So with that, NETA understood that there is a serious growing demand for qualified electrical maintenance providers. Just the industry at the moment is very booming for NETA, for electrification of the grid, AI, renewables. All of this is really straining the existing NETA workforce. And we saw this as an opportunity to broaden our horizons and bring more people into the NETA organization as stewards to how to get electrical systems in better conditions. A lot of the NFPA 70B things that are required aren't super technical things. Um, and having some qualified electrical maintenance providers to do some of the not super technical things is a great opportunity to get them into the trade, to get facilities in compliance, and to help the overall country and world have better, more reliable power. So having qualified electrical maintenance providers helps in reducing electrical incidents by having equipment that operates correctly. It protects from serious risk in life and property. It protects facility owners and contractors by holding them to higher standards of safety and reliability. 70B ensures that electrical systems are maintained proactively, minimizing the risk of downtime, failure, or injury. It's always been best practice. There's a ton of studies out there that talk about the benefits of having a proactive maintenance plan, and having it now as a standard just goes to show that the entire industry understands that this is the way to make sure that you don't have any issues with your system. And their recommendations show that you can get through if you're proactive about making sure that your system is good, you can get through a lot of these issues with minimal checks. If you kind of leave it go to the wayside, if it's ignored, that it does have some serious issues and there are some liabilities associated with that. So bringing that all to the forefront of mind and making sure that we all stay compliant. So, what is the QEMC program? NETA created this new program because, for the most part, NETA has been a very niche industry, specifically for acceptance testing and maintenance testing, high end testing of electrical power systems. It didn't have a lot of room. Oh, sorry, for basic maintenance companies to come in and do some casual maintenance. With 70B becoming a standard, it created a great opportunity for us to create a new program that does bring in new companies and workers. So we developed the QEMC, which is the Qualified Electrical Equipment Maintenance Company, and the QEMW, the Qualified Electrical Equipment Maintenance Worker. Big mouthful there, but in all, you're saying, hey, we have a qualified worker, and that qualified worker should be working for a qualified company. Um, Now, the qualification program is a strategic initiative to address the anticipated surge in demand for both the maintenance workers and get the backing and qualification of independence from a third party company saying that your company has all the documentation and training available to make sure that your employees are safe and compliant in being proactive in performing these maintenance. So, as facility owners seek to align their maintenance programs with 70B requirements, the need for vetted and skilled maintenance workers has increased. So consequently, NETA has taken a proactive stance by establishing this new qualification initiative. As facility owners, it is great if you're able to supply those individuals to take care of your own facility and maybe to some degree, some of those very rudimentary things. We can talk about those later. You can definitely take care of with your own in-house program. But this also creates the opportunity for some of your partners that you already utilize for these systems um, or for these programs to become qualified, and you can have a better selection process for stuff that may not be super rudimentary, but may not be super advanced, and hits that sweet spot of being a very good cost value to maintain your system. So, how does the QEMC align with 70B? It provides a qualified pathway for mandatory maintenance requirements. So, the 70B is a large standard. There's a lot of ins and outs that are associated with how to become compliant. And QEMC provides that independent third party side to say there's no issue with how your program was developed. We analyzed it, we reviewed it. We say that, hey, this meets industry best practices, and you can get that checkbox knowing, hey, we absolutely know that we are compliant with 70B with our programs. It helps you get through some systemic documentation practices and ensures audit readiness and regulatory compliance. It's very easy to be overwhelmed with these documentations, and having industry experts go through your program and make recommendations ahead of time as kind of a free service is incredible in getting you to a compliance and audit readiness for any regulatory issues that come down the pipeline. It also really develops your workforce. It shows that you're investing back in them to be better, more qualified individuals. There are many companies that do a great job in providing training and information for their workers to maintain their equipment well. But having the backing of the largest electrical testing association in the world tell them, hey, this is one way you can make it better. This is a very good cost value to you in doing it this way or that way is incredible. And it's very difficult to find any of that expertise anywhere else. Um, and it also ensures that workers meet specific training and experience thresholds. So not only saying you have a good program, but with the QEMW component, having the testing and the vetting from an independent agency saying that your employees have gone through this and are specifically qualified to do this. If they are not, they won't get through the testing and exam portion, and it encourages them to get more training and understanding of what they're doing so that they can absolutely give the best system they can for you to operate. So, what does the QEMC qualification cover? So, for well, I kind of alluded to it at the beginning. The NETA accredited companies are very specialized in advanced testing techniques for electrical power systems. QEMC is supposed to not require such a onerous experience level to get through some of the rudimentary tests and maintenance. Not saying you can't do more than that, but to get the base qualification, you need just a certain minimal things. So one of them is an established business structure that demonstrates qualified workforce and formal maintenance program required to manage that system. So we do require a business license, whatever that business is that you have, to indicate that you're established. Uh, for qualified workforce and maintenance programs, just have at least a binder, something that says, "Hey, we tested this switchgear on XYZ date and everything looked good." Not super crazy, and we're developing forms to give to applicant QEMC companies if they don't already have their own forms. So we're making the process easier and easier as it goes through. Um, Confirmation of a safety program and a strong safety record. Back to NFPA giving this trifecta of the code, maintenance, and safety all coming together as one conglomerate of great standards. Uh, we understand that if you're going to maintain equipment, you need to be able to safely work on it. And it may seem very simple that, of course, we're being safe, of course, we're doing all these things. But from a industry best practice standpoint, 70E is changing drastically every 3 years. I think the latest thing they have 2027 just published a couple weeks ago, and they now require two qualified individuals perform switching at all times, which before it was just one. And so, whenever any of those little changes come up, NETA's there to help encourage, educate, and get those safety programs in line. So if anything does happen, you're in compliance with where the industry is moving. So as part of that whole process, we look at the safety program that you have, verifying that you have a strong safety record. If there's anything that's missing that would really get you up to a good 70E compliance, we help out with that as well. Proper electrical test equipment calibration program. So it may seem a little funny, but you'd be surprised how many facilities uh, they buy the test equipment right off the shelf and say it should work for 30 years. Unfortunately, a lot of this test equipment drifts over its lifespan, and sometimes it becomes out of calibration. For those of you that are savvy with electrical testing, there's a live dead live check that you would do with any sort of tick tracer or any live line indicator sort of piece of equipment. It'd be great if we were able to do that with every piece of test equipment, but low resistance ohm meters, installation resistance testers, flukes, those sort of things, you don't always have a reference standard. So encouraging companies to make sure that they have a calibration program and that they get tested every once in a while to ensure their worker safety is one of the things that we look at and we encourage to get in line. And then one of the other things is verification of reporting in accordance with ATS and MTS standards. So documentation, right, to ensure compliance is a big portion of this whole program. Just saying, yeah, we tested it on XYZ date, that's great. Can you prove it? If insurance companies want to deny a claim because your switchgear blew up and they say you haven't touched it in 5 years, you go, yeah, we touched it last year, and they say, there's no evidence of that. Having a sticker on there is great because you can say, hey, we put this sticker on there, there's the date, that's great, but they could still deny it if they say, okay, well, where are the test results for that? And it's like, okay, well, we don't have those. Again, NETA's developing those data forms if you don't already have them, and can review the ones if you do have them and make recommended edits of, hey, you could include this, you could include that, which would really round out your whole maintenance practices and really help you in developing it, whether it's purely in-house or if it's a mixed workforce of in-house and contract workforce. So one big thing with NETA credit companies, and we're taking this with the QEMC because we truly believe in it, is that it's not simply a worker thing. It's not simply a company thing. It's a marriage between the two. If you have employees that don't have the backing of the company, they're not going to be successful. If you have a company that doesn't have employees that are assisting you in being successful, the program's not going to be successful. So it's a marriage of the two. So we look at not only the company and verifying that they have the documentation and procedures in place to get through being a qualified maintenance company, but also that their workers are qualified to perform these. So we have an examination and some other information that you need to submit for your qualified electrical maintenance workers to verify that they're qualified to perform these maintenance tasks. Most of the maintenance tasks that we'll be looking at them and performing are fundamental electrical system tests, some visual mechanical inspections, and some safety risk assessments. If you have maintenance workers and they are performing these semi-regularly, once a month, twice a month sort of situation, this test should not be an issue if they've got 2 years plus in the trade performing these tasks. Anything less than that, there might be a situation they need more training and they need to have a little bit more experience. But for the most part, that's what we're seeing, is that if you've got at least 2 years experience in doing some of these tasks, and you've got some of the safety training and electrical training of basic electrical theory, these are real simple examinations to verify that they have the basic understanding to make sure that they're going to be safe when they go out and perform maintenance on these equipment. And it's great to have NETA as a partner in verifying that your maintenance workers do qualify to perform these tasks, because then that takes the onus off of you of developing your own examination in your own tracking system of verifying that they know what they're doing. So it takes a lot of onus off of owners and puts it on to NETA. And we've already got the program developed, so it's very helpful to go through us. So some of the chapters that are covered by the QEMW exam and the expectations of what they're going to be able to do. If you've got a copy of NFPA 70B, you can go through this chapter 7 and look down all of these things. And if you're not super familiar with 70B, I would highly encourage you to go to NFPA's website. They have a free login with free access, since all of these standards can be applied to you from a legislative standpoint. They are required to provide them for free. So you get free access to all of these if you go online and register with them. We don't get any benefit by pumping them in this situation, but just so you know, this isn't a paywall to get some required information. You can absolutely get all this information for free online. For the QEMW coverage, though, what they're covering is fundamental electrical tests. You can read through it right here: bolted bus connections, conductor terminations, conductor connectors. Real simple. Can you keep it tight? Torque it down. Contact resistance, torque, that's all looking at, can it actually meld together? A lot of equipment processes that we have, expansion, contraction with heat and cooling, these connections wear over time and get loose. So having a qualified person just go through and verify that they're still put together is a very easy maintenance task that most companies can perform, assuming you're able to get an outage, or if it's low voltage, sometimes you can do some other things to verify it. Newly installed threaded hardware, make sure the torque values are good. There's also different torque values based upon the type of fasteners and lubrication that's used. So all of that, very simple, basic maintenance tasks that you can perform on your facility with your own staff. Some of the stuff that gets a little bit more involved: installation resistance testing and installation resistance quality. We feel that is something that facility owners can take on. It's not an expensive test. It is a relatively safe test to perform with the piece of test equipment. Getting into it, you have to have some safety knowledge and understanding, which is why safety is a big component of the examination, to ensure that you know very basically how to read a arc flash label, you understand shock potential, and you can make sure that yourself is safe in performing these tasks. So what do they cover? Like I said, the two go hand in hand. It's a very good marriage, making sure your company is qualified to provide its own maintenance services, or for those of you that are electrical contractors and need accredited companies on the line, that you can provide it to other facility owners if they need it. We do that with third-party validation of your processes, documentation, audit readiness as it relates to 70B. And with the NETA backing of that, that's a extremely good value. And then with the QEMW, the individual credentials validating their technician competency, 70B maintenance practices, and again, that third-party validation, ensuring that that they're good to perform these tasks, is a great opportunity and great value. So business advantages: ensure your 70B compliance. Are your electrical maintenance workers qualified? What is your qualification process? The QEMC qualification provides NW a very defensible, audible answer for OSHA, insurers, risk management, internal safety leadership, and worker expertise. So dialing it all together, saying this is a great package to roll out to anybody that asks, are you doing it right? Do you have everything you need to do it right? NETA is able to coach you through that whole process and get to the right answer of we're providing the best system that we can for our facility. So it strengthens safety and risk management. By going through this, if we find some holes in processes and procedures, it's a great opportunity to look internally and see how does this best fit with your culture, and maybe rise the tide and making it a little bit better place to work. And then when it comes to potential risks, looking at those things and saying, do we want to take this on board internally, or is this something that we want to hire out for? So leading that conversation with the rest of your business leadership on, does this make sense for us to do, or should we farm this out? Really great to have experts in the industry review that with you, coach you through it, get you through what you need to make an informed decision on what would be the safe work practice for the best documentation and regular assessments, whether you can handle that or if you need some assistance with it. And access to resource and recognition. The International Electrical Testing Association, we went from NETA being NETA to international. We are now practically across the globe with NETA accredited companies and QEMC members, and we pool together all of our resources in a very volunteer effort to make sure that the entire world has a really great operating electrical system and free from any safety injuries or facility downtime. So having access to all of our tools and resources to make your facility a better facility is part of our core principles, and we love to help you out as much as we can. So as far as requirements, touched on this a little bit before. For QEMC, make sure that you're licensed in the state that you're performing the work, or the country. I know we've got a couple international people here. Just basic, do you have business license? We're not getting too far in the weeds with that. Want to make sure you're an established company. Confirmation of a standard compliant safety program. Do you have some sort of safety program in place? How can it be good enough to get through a 70E audit or 70B audit? Verification of routine equipment calibration program. We talked about that. And if you have something that's not quite fully up to date, we can coach you through things that you need, things that you don't. Confirmation of equipment, maintenance experience, and quality service business operations. So looking at your maintenance records, if you have any, we can coach you in how to update some things and be a little bit more compliant with 70B. There should be a minimum number of company employed electrical equipment maintenance workers. If you've got, a large 1,000,000 square foot warehouse with dozens of pieces of electrical equipment and switchgear, having just one guy run around probably isn't good enough. So we kind of look holistically at your company and say, hey, you really should have X amount of people. We don't necessarily tie you to it, but it provides a good opportunity to have that discussion of what could be the throughput for individuals in this. And then we do have a requirement that you've been in business for at least 2 years. That's just to ensure that you're established business and that you're not getting QEMWs out there, QEMCs, and putting them at risk to just get a badge or something like that. For the QEMW requirements, we do have a requirement that they have at least, a year experience. Hopefully 2 years would get them easily through the test. 100 hours of technical training. They've completed a 70E training course and at least 1 year of on-the-job training experience. So not a huge burden, but definitely if you hire somebody off the street tomorrow, they're not going to automatically be a QEMW unless they've had that prior experience. So for those of you that are looking for getting started, expanding your company's portfolio, your ability to tackle your maintenance requirements, anything like that, we've got a ton of information online about the application, preparation materials for the exam. I know that's a big question that we get a lot from our applicant companies, the fear that their workers aren't qualified. I would say that we've got a ton of resources to get them through that process. So just reach out. I think the application is the easiest part about it. And then the exam, we can get them through that. That's not a problem if they're really performing maintenance. And we've got the little QR code there if you want to take a snapshot with your phone and get to any of that information, or the links there, the phone number or email for any more information. Tosca, I think I'm pushing it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. It looks like we have a couple questions in the chat. The first one is, can you clarify the second year apprentice or equivalent requirement? Many on my maintenance crew have not been through a formal apprenticeship program.
Yeah, so this program was initially geared for electrical contractors. So any electrical contractor that's performing this type of maintenance would have apprentices. Now, for a company that does not necessarily have apprentices through their program, it's mostly looking to see that you have had some on the job training with this individual, or you took them from a company that had some on the job training, that they have some 100 hours of technical training when it comes to electricity, that they know what electricity is and the hazards involved with it. So that's all just to say that they have some experience in doing this. It's not a necessarily hard and fast rule that they have to have gone through an apprenticeship, but that you have some documentation that you didn't just hire them off the street yesterday out of high school and they have zero knowledge of electrical experience.
Thanks, Jason. What does it take? How long does it take to become qualified?
So I would say qualification is largely dependent upon your company. Our application process does not take that long. If you are already doing this in-house, you can breeze through it in a couple weeks. If you've got some documentation that needs some work, there is some back and forth that can take a couple months. We try and get everybody through the door in under half a year, but we do acknowledge that there are some companies that need a lot of work. And so, especially if it's not a top priority, it's hard to press you to do something that you may not want to do. So anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months is kind of the average.
Thanks, Jason. The next question is 70B. It's an extension of our existing 70E training, question mark.
Yeah, so they kind of tie together in a certain way. If you look through NFPA 70E, it has certain sections in there that say that your risk assessment for performing electrical work isn't valid or needs to be reconsidered if maintenance has not been performed on the equipment. So they're kind of, and 70B, when it goes into maintenance, says if you don't have workers that are qualified to isolate the equipment and perform this maintenance, then they need to be trained in 70E. So they point back and forth to each other. They're not exactly the same. One is more focused on safety and one is more focused on maintenance, but they do go hand in hand together. Most companies we see will have separate programs, procedures, and policies for both, but there is going to be some intermingling of the two.
Thanks again. This question here did ask whether we could send the presentation, and I do want to say that we will be posting this on our website in the upcoming week, so we'll be able to share that with you as well. The next question is, we test UPS equipment, not switchgear. Is this still appropriate?
So if you're doing acceptance testing, the qualified electrical maintenance company route is not going to be the best. It's not made for acceptance testing, but maintenance testing, absolutely. If you're working on a UPS and you're servicing it, you're cleaning it, you're torquing it, you're doing all that, and on top of that, you're doing some maintenance testing of it. Absolutely, we do not limit QEMCs from performing testing, but we definitely, it's more for the maintenance aspect. And if you do other services on top of that, that's your business model, and we don't hamper you from doing that.
Thank you. Do AHJs require registered or just compliance?
So that is going to have to do with your local AHJ. Each one of them is going to be different, and every single one of them has their own special thing that they do. I would say that if you have the QEMC qualification, it's real easy to tell your AHJ, hey, we're qualified to do this. Here's a third party certification that we've gotten through this whole process, and here's our documentation to say that we're compliant with all of it. I doubt that any of them are going to say you need to be registered with NETA to get through this process, but it definitely breezes you through the process. If you've already done that documentation, you can say, hey, we're holding to this standard, and it's already qualified via a third party that's experts in qualifying people.
Thank you. And the last question I have here, there might be one more. How do I get the NFPA 70B book for free? I see a price on the NFPA site after logging in. Do you have a link?
Yeah, so let me see. No, I deleted the one that that I had opened up. But yeah, if you just go to NFPA 70, 70B, 70E and do free access, it'll try and get you to pay, but there's a little drop down that lets you pick like the 2026, 2023, 2013, whatever, and it'll have a blue free access button next to it. If you click on that, it'll take you to a login page, and you just need to sign up. It should be free to sign up, and just type in your information, create a password, and then it should give you free access to it. I'm sure, Tosca, we could find that link to that webpage and maybe put together a little information on how to get there if people are still having issues with it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. NETA registered is different than NERC registered.
Yeah, so the forgive me, I think it's the North American Electrical Reliability Company focuses on utility compliance, NERC, on utility compliance of the bulk electrical system and grid. And what they're looking for is more making sure grid stability and that sort of thing, which is similar to NFPA 70B in ensuring that your facility and electrical switchgear is properly maintained. But NERC focuses it more from the lens of we want to make sure that the grid is stable, whereas NFPA 70B focuses more on making sure that your building doesn't catch fire. And NETA is more looking at it from third party saying, does your system work and will it survive the long run? So NETA isn't necessarily looking at it from a lens of will it burn down or will it create the grid stability? We're looking holistically at, is this going to be a good system long term? Where can we find improvements and that sort of thing? So NETA is looking at it from that point. And in terms of the QEMC, we're focused more on that 70B side of making sure that the equipment isn't going to catch fire, that it's not going to put your facility at risk. If you're looking for more NERC compliance stuff, that NETA accredited companies can help you with, but most likely a lot of our QEMC stuff isn't geared towards some of the maintenances that you do for the outdoor substation electrical equipment. That's a lot of specialty stuff and usually focuses on protection, which is gears towards a little bit more advanced testing. Hope
All
that
right.
hope that helped.
What is the difference between a NETA and a NICET certification as a worker, not a business?
Yeah, so great question. NICET is a kind of competitor to NETA, which is really great that we don't have a monopoly on the whole country. But NICET kind of focuses a little bit more on almost like a professional engineer side. They still do technician work and they have a power systems technician thing, but they just qualify the individual themselves. And so while an individual can be a great technician on their own, NETA provides a very great complement by qualifying the company that's associated with it and verifying that there's a professional engineer, reviewing all the results that the NETA accredited companies pump out, their test equipment calibration program is there, that they provide reports that are standardized and meet the NETA accredited things. So there is a lot more to the whole NETA value that's presented than a NICET. NICET is just looking at the technician themselves and verifying that that technician is competent.
Okay. Thank you, Chasen, and thank you to everyone for joining the webinar today. There was a question about what to do next and how to get moving forward on this qualification. You can reach us at the QEMC at netaworld.email box. You can also reach me directly at this number, and I'll be able to set up time to walk you through the process. Thanks again for showing up. And if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.